Just F it. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the Effing
Madres.
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an F it moment. So here we go. Just F it. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Madre Monday, Motivation Monday, all those nice tags.
Monday motivation, Madre Monday, all the things. I've got my Madre sweater.
So if you are new to our podcast, which I hope at this point you're not, but if you are, welcome. We are the Effing Madres. This is Romy. I'm Carla. And we are a podcast for madres supporting madres, moms supporting moms through their Effing moment. So whether you've had one, you're in the midst of one, or you want to have one, this is a community for madres supporting madres to help each other get through these moments because we all have them at some point. Actually, we've all had them throughout all our lives, but this is specifically for moms because you know what? We're moms and we're going through it. So we want to be in camaraderie with other moms who are going through this bucket moment. Exactly. So that's who we are. And we hope you become part of our community. And we are bringing in a lovely lady named Emily. She reached out to me, sharing her effort moment. She was in her dream job, which I'm not sure exactly what it was, but she was in it for like 10 years. And then she ended up taking a different job at the turn of the pandemic, which looked great on paper and seemed to be like the best next step for her career. It turned out to be kind of a disaster. And she decided to say, fuck it, after looking at all her financials and decided one weekend, I'm going to work for myself. So she started her own consulting business and she's fairly new to it. But from what it sounds like, she's very happy she made that change despite it being very scary. So these are those F it moments we're talking about. We are going to bring her in momentarily. Awesome. Alrighty, we have Emily Mascarell here. Welcome. We brought you in very quickly so everyone knows the gist of your story, but now let's get a little deeper. So we're going to jump into the questions. When did you decide to just F it and why?
So that was last year. I think I had a pandemic move. I had a job for 10 years working in the beauty industry. And at some point I was just like, I work 50 hours a week or 100 hours a week. I'm reachable all the time on the weekend, on nights. And like, okay, maybe it's time for me to take a break, start to see my family more, and take a job that is going to give me that work-life balance that I've been dreaming of. And I decided to just do like a lateral move, go in another company. And it sounded like perfect, easy move. And I just ended up being in the same kind of situation, working 60, 70 hours a week, working on weekend, in the mornings, at night, and always having kind of a random schedule, working a cubicle, working with no window. And, at some point, there's that point where you just seeing all those things. You're like, I see that rat trap under my desk every day. I see no windows for 10 hours. I don't see my kid this morning. I don't see my kid tonight. And now I need to find a babysitter because I have to be on a call on this Saturday and all those kind of things. And I was like, one day, and I had everything was 10 people to approve, even things that my intern would have approved in a previous job, like a color or anything. And one day, an additional layer of approval or something comes in, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to stay here until 9 p.m. tonight to see if someone is going to approve something. I don't want to do this anymore. And I took it with me, waited the weekend, thought about it. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm leaving that job. I'm leaving it on Monday, and this is it. Wow. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, I have a 3-year-old. I have a husband that doesn't have a stable job. My husband works in TV, so some days are better than others. But the income is not guaranteed, the schedule is not guaranteed, and I'm like, you know what? I always felt like I had to have all that pressure on myself to be like the breadwinner, to be like the person who has a steady job every day. And I was like, you know what? I think that's fine. We'll make it work. And I'm done with it, and I'm not seeing my family anyway. I'm not enjoying my life, and I'm not happy doing this every day. Why am I waking up and doing this if I'm just not happy anymore? And that was my moment. I was like, you know what? I've been thinking so much about like you have that reasonable voice. There's always like, yeah, you gotta do this. You have to have a job. You have to do all that, and follow all the rules. And I was like, you know what? There's no rules anymore. I'm just done with it.
All
And that
right.
was it.
I know. That's what it feels like when you get to that point.
Yeah, you literally just decided though, like you were done. That was it. You were done. And you just walked away without anything being set up for you. Like just walked away.
So yeah, I was done. I quitted. They asked me to stay longer. I negotiated the money, so I get way more money in the last month staying there than the money I've made the whole time there, I would say. But like
Oh,
I
wow.
negotiated my exit, and I was like, every day was one day less until I would leave, and that was it.
Oh, wow. Well, good for you. Good for you for negotiating that last month. Get out of
You
there.
got to. I was like, at least that's a little buffer, and I had a bit of savings. I was like, we'll figure it out.
That's such an act of like faith to be able to do something like that and just trust in the universe and God or whatever it may be that it's going to be okay, that this choice is going to be okay. I'm curious, like when you decided to do that, what did you do about it?
I had fantasized about quitting, so I think it was already kind of growing in my mind. But I started thinking about what's the worst that can happen. And it's like, well, I still have that 15 years experience in the industry. I still, it's not like I'm starting from scratch. And I'm like, well, worst case, maybe I'll have to find another job later on. But how about I try to, make it work and do my own business and just see my family. I was never seeing my kid. I was never seeing my husband. I was always looking at my emails. I was never really there, even if I was there physically. I was not really present for them, and I was not happy. And I was like, you know what? I weighed a lot, like the pros and the cons, and I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna try, and maybe I can make it work. I know a few people who've been asking me if I could consult in the past, and maybe just take a leap of faith and see how that goes. And my
Yeah.
husband was very supportive. And I was like, you know what? The pressure's not on me anymore. You found a way to have this steady job if you want to, but it is not on my side. I'm done being the stable one with the steady income.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that like our jobs, we spend like 95% of our time in these jobs, and so many people stay in those jobs that they are I mean, I did it. I did it for years, like staying in jobs that absolutely made you made you so stressed out and so miserable, and all of that completely trickles into every aspect
Every
of your life. Like it really does. And so it's like you have to do what you've done and what we're doing essentially, and all the women that we've interviewed, and just be like, fuck this. This fucking sucks. Like I
Mhm.
don't have time for my family. I need to make time for my family and for myself. Like this is just not, it's not feasible to work that way. So great that you have that revelation. Congratulations to you.
It's such a thing as mothers where it is that responsibility of like we can't walk away from stuff. We've got this responsibility of these humans and
Mhm.
these lives to provide. It's not as just free as it was maybe once before we were parents, but like
Mhm.
there is a level of I think a lot of us moms now just going fuck it. Like there has to be some of that that comes back. Otherwise, we're losing the joys of life as parents, as women, as adults, when we get locked into this. So, I mean, it's fucking inspiring that you just said fuck it and left.
I mean, you have all that weight, and you're like conditioned to have that job
Mhm.
but it's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever job you're doing, but you need to have that steady, income and schedule and all that. And you're like, at some point you're like, well, you got to think about yourself too. Cause I don't think I was bringing the best, of myself to my family, even when I was seeing them, because I was just kind of like, starting to resent the fact that I had to go to that job every day and stick to things I didn't want to do because I felt like I had to. But I
Right.
think at the end I was also putting a lot more pressure on myself than everybody does. It's just you're so conditioned to do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Which kind of leads me into the next question. Like when you finally had this moment, like what were you feeling? How did doing this make you feel when you decided to say fuck it?
I felt so much lighter. Like I had like that weight,
Yeah.
you feel that weight on your shoulders and like, and everything, felt so heavy for so long. And, all of a sudden I was like, okay, then you know what? I'm free. I don't have, it's okay. I don't care anymore. If like, I need 20 people to look at something. If all that needs to happen. And if I need to come here at 7 a.m., that's okay. It's my last month. It's like, it
Yeah.
makes you feel so much freer and so happy. And, there's a
Yeah.
point where you kind of like forget yourself, you just like focus on your family and everything and your work. And I was like, what? There's things I enjoy doing beyond work, and like I can do more things, and I get that time back, and it just felt incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is a weight, isn't it? Like it just
Hmm.
feels like something that is completely drilling you into the ground. And the moment you say that, you're just like, oh my God, like light as a feather.
Hmm.
Yeah. The minute
Yeah.
you release like what's so heavy and weighing you down, the ways you show up in every part of your life, change. I think ultimately, yeah, that's why we're doing this, and everyone who's been on here has had that moment of going, no more. This just isn't working, and how you can take a big breath of fresh air after you say fuck it.
Yeah, but it's especially important when moms make that decision, because what you were saying about not being present, like even when you were physically there for your
Hmm.
family, you're not present. And that's like one of the, and I totally understand that. Like you need to be with your child, like you
Hmm.
want to be there. Like that's as us as moms want to be able to provide that for our children, for our partners. And to not be able to do that, you're just kind of like an empty vessel, kind of, walking through everything that you do every day.
Yeah,
So,
you're just on autopilot at some point, you
right.
just like become kind of like shadow of yourself, and you're like, wait a second, where did that become, that person? When did that become, that miserable person who just like, resents things every day and, doesn't see anything really fun. And I was also missing all those moments with my kids, like anything that could be, even the doctor's visit, or just like going out and, doing trick or treat, for instance, all those kind of things. And I'm missing all those moments in his life, and I'm never going to get that time back, and
Yeah.
what am I going to remember at the end of my life? Is that going to be that I did 60, 70 hours a week to launch perfumes? Or is it that, I'm seeing my kids and my family and, have that fulfilling life? So, yeah,
Yeah.
and I loved my job, don't make me wrong, but it's like I just wanted to do it on my own terms, and the corporation was not, where I wanted to be, because I want to be able to take 2 hours in the morning if there's like something at my kids' school. I want to be able to just disconnect on the weekend and not be reachable on a Saturday afternoon and get on to calls, or all those kind of things. And it's like, no matter how much you love your job, at the end of the day, you're like, I also want to enjoy my family. I also want to do all those fun things, and not always have like that stress that maybe some meeting is going to pop up at 7 a.m. in my calendar for tomorrow morning.
I know.
Oh, my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carla
That's
knows oh so well the struggles I deal with the work demand, and how much it's impossible sometimes to fit in the things that matter so much to us, or the things that are important to us, because we're so locked into this job sometimes that
Hmm.
is what provides for us. But
mhm.
it's inspiring to see more women, and for me even to hear more women that do just kind of break free of that, you know.
Yeah.
My next question would be like, what did it do really for your family though?
So, you know, my husband was very supportive, and I was just another person. Very honestly, I think I just, was a kind of a shadow of myself for quite a bit. And so my husband was like, I haven't seen you that happy in years. And
Aw.
I would say
I know.
my mom on the other end, when I told her, I'm going to start my consulting business, she's like, no, but seriously, when are you going to start looking for a job, a real job? And I'm like, okay. Like, okay, she didn't want me to leave a job, a steady job, and I think she definitely felt like I should just be the steady job my whole life. So she's like, no, for real, that's just a phase, right? But I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I thought about the worst thing that can happen. I was like, worst case, I'll look for a job later on, and it doesn't take away the experience I had, because it's kind of like you feel like if you have a break in your career or do something like that it's the end of the world and you'll never be able to get another job again, and that's, you're off the market. I was like, I don't believe that's true anymore. And I think that that's fine to, maybe it's just going to be a nice break and I'm just going to be on vacation for a couple of months. And that's why I negotiated my exit. Or maybe that business works and, that maybe it's not going to be the same amount of money, but if that allows me to be happy, to be present, to be able to bring my kids to school or pick him up and, not try to figure out the solution with a babysitter and an aftercare and whatever every day, then it's worth trying it.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting, the conditioning that you were talking about, and how like my mom and dad were the same way when I decided to like leave. I'm a hairdresser, but I worked at a salon and I was, in a like a management position. So I had a salary, and to then just be like, I'm going to work on my own, like my own. And they're like, what? What do you mean? Like, you don't have a boss? It's like, no, I'm a boss. I'm my boss. And they were just like, there are our parents and just the older generation, they were so conditioned to like, you get a job, you stay at that one job for years, and then you get paid out, and then you retire, you invest in mutual funds, and you save all your money, and then when you retire, you have fun. No, I'm sorry, but I want to have fun now. I want to enjoy my life now. I want to live my life the way I want to live it now. So I'm happy that all of this is happening with people of our generation and younger. Like, no, we want to live on our terms.
And it's funny because you have this idea that, having a business is just going to be like so much work. Literally, it took me 30 minutes to Google how to create an LLC, how to create my website, have a Squarespace website, and send emails to people I know to be like, hey, I'm starting a business. But it's funny. You're like, I have to create an entity. I have to do this and that, and the taxes and the bank account and all that. It's like, it literally takes you, like just plug some time, but it's so much easier. Like I still see people who are like, oh, you're so brave. Like just the idea of thinking about, creating my own business and finding and dealing with the accounting and all that. It's like, it's okay. Like it's not such a big work, it's just that you haven't done it before. And I gotta say that thank God for detailed, but you can figure out everything.
Well, that's even like with us with the podcast. I mean, it was, I feel connected to what you're saying, because it was like, how are we going to start a podcast? We don't know how to do this. And then it's like, well, if you just kind of Google a few things, listen to a few podcasts, like figure it out. Here we are into like, 16, 17, 18 episodes of a podcast. But again, unless you just do it and say, fuck it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to figure out how to do it, it ends up not being, which Carla is teaching me daily, it ends up not being as scary as you might in your head believe it to be, and I think we're also afraid of the unknown, but then when we do kind of get into it, we realize,
it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. It's not as scary as I thought it was. I can do this,
It's baby steps. It's like, okay, you don't need to do it all on day one. Like you can just like start small and, and go at your pace and make it work.
Yeah. I probably should figure out who said this quote, because I've already said it in like one other podcast, but it's literally like, when you look at the mountain and you see the mountain, you're like, I can't climb that mountain. But if you look 3 feet in front of you, like, okay, yeah, I can do 3 feet in front of me. I can keep doing that. That's baby steps. Like that is not too difficult. And that's how you have to look at it, one step at a time. So yeah, it is. It's daunting when you think of like the big picture, but like when you just look at what tomorrow is, you could do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, baby steps. So what sort of fears, any fears now that you're doing this on your own? Do you have any fears that come up for you at all?
I have all my clients set on a certain amount of time. Like, I always have the fear, okay, so that client ends, mid-December. What do I do next? And that one, it's not like I have it figured out like months ahead. So, I have, of course, that fear of like, okay, what if I don't get another client at time? Or, or what if I get a clients and I cannot deal with it all, and I would say at the beginning, you have almost like kind of like that imposter syndrome, when you kind of like take charge of your life. So I definitely had that. And I was like, wait a second, I've worked with those people for 15 years. I've done that job, but right in a second, I feel like I'm an imposter because I'm offering to do what I've been doing for the last 15 years because it's my name on it, It's ridiculous. It's like, so I definitely went through all those emotions of like, wait a second, am I serious about that? Is that something I can really do? You know, like you really feel like, you know, you have like misconfidence at some point, and you feel like, you know, I'm an imposter doing that, and there's people who've been consulting for like 20 years, 30 years, and here I am, and I just created my website, and now I'm like looking to offer my business. You go through those fears of like, people are going to trust me, am I gonna, you know, is that going to work out? I don't want to fail anyone. You know, you definitely take it, you know, more seriously too, because it's your name on it. It's your reputation.
Yeah.
It's definitely been, you know, my fear is, okay, what if something doesn't work out? Or what if, you know, I don't have all the clients lined up? But I also like to think, okay, let's push that fear further. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You know, okay, maybe I'm not going to have a client and I'm going to take some of my savings, and that's not great. And I agree with that, but it's, you know, it's okay. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's okay. Maybe I need to put some advertising somewhere. I'll contact more people. And I don't really love reaching out to people that I don't know personally or ask for favors, but maybe I'll ask for favors. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
there's a way around it. So, you know, I'm like thinking, okay, what is the worst situation? And if it wasn't me, what advice would I give? Because I feel like when it's personal, it's always harder to figure out, you know, what to do. But when it's not you, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, if it was that person, this is what I would do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I try to push, you know, the thinking that way. So yeah, there's that fear, but in the same time, it's like, you know what? At some point, the fear is not gonna, it's not gonna help you unless you have a solution that goes with it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And the imposter part is like such a real thing. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think all of us struggle with that. We get into these places and we're like, I don't belong here. I'm faking it, or I'm not, I'm not a real podcast host, or we don't have a real podcast. And it's like, yes, you do. Yes, you're doing it. You
Yeah.
are, and you are amongst the others, and you're capable. Like in any job, even sometimes, like as a makeup artist, like you said, Carla, I've always worked for a company, and there's always a fear sometimes of just doing it on my own when I've done it for 20 years. I'm not an imposter. It's what I do. Why am I
Right.
so afraid to just branch off and be independently doing what I've done my whole life? So I
Yeah.
think so many of us need to just step into that power and remove that, like we're living in somebody else's shoes pretending to be somebody that we're not, when that is exactly who we are.
Yeah. And I've listened to so many podcasts of people that are like they're doing great things, they're making tons of money, and all of them have said that they've suffered from imposter syndrome. It's like just part of
Yeah.
the journey.
Mhm.
It's part of the
Yeah.
journey because you're doing
Yeah.
it on your own, and you do doubt yourself, but like you have to, we're the only people standing in our own way. Like,
Yes.
so we have to put that imposter aside and just be like, it's me, I can do this, I'm able to do this, I have all this year's experience, it's just my name on it, it's no different. So yeah, it definitely is a real thing, but we all go through it. But I wanted to ask you, so with these fears that come up for you, like how do you not let them set you back? How do you stay in that effort moment momentum to move forward?
I think, and you know, it might not be the best, but you know, I remember where I was, and you know, and I'm like, I don't want to go back in that place. So you know, if the way forward means doing X, Y, Z to make sure that you know I'm getting the business at a sustainable level, you know, that's what I need to. I rethink about that moment and everything that led to that moment, because that was not just like a one day. It feels, you know, sometimes like that was the day, but you know there was a lot I was building up to that. And, you know, so that's kind of where I go back to. I'm like, I don't want to go back there. So I'll do anything I need to do to make it work from there, because I'm so much more happier. I'm happier with my family. At some point, it's just my mental health too. And
Right.
I'm like, I'll figure it out. And, you know, I have to say that it's what has been helpful for me has also been to plug to different communities, like the Hey Mama with, you know, the moms
Yeah.
entrepreneur, which has been amazing for me. Also got a few clients through there, and also have some Hey Mamas that were going for a tough time. The entrepreneuristas. I've been, you know, unplugged to communities with people from my industry as well. And it's, you know, you always approach things through your corporation, working with different, vendors and corporation, but you realize that you still have that network, and you also can build another network that is with all, a lot of people who are actually going through the same thing you are, or went through the same
Yeah.
thing, and want to give
Yeah.
back. So I would say that that's the thing too for me, was like also, and I think it's tougher post pandemic, but also be open to engage in other communities and engage with other people, and also help out. And sometimes it helps, it gets back to you, but that's not the goal. But really kind of like plug into the communities who bring you that support and who you can contribute to as well. So I'd say that that's definitely been helping me, because you can easily isolate yourself when you're changing path and you don't have all your coworkers and all that environment. And you don't want to just like start being like, okay, I'm working from home and I'm alone, and what am I doing? But really like starting to plug into those networks for me has been incredible.
Yeah, community seems to be the common theme here, which
Yes.
is what, in situations like this, you have to have people that are going through the same situation, same experiences band around you, because how much stronger do you feel when you're like, "Oh my god, I fucking know exactly what you're going through. I went through that last year. Like, I'm right there with you. I can help you." Like, it totally makes a huge difference. And I think people make the mistake of thinking that they're alone. And they're,
Yeah.
like, they think they're alone, but there's the person right down the street might be going through the exact same thing. You just don't know it. But like these sorts of things, the Hey Mama platform, all those other communities, these types of podcasts, like everyone's out there. Everyone's going through that same thing. You just have to tap in.
I feel like if I heard your podcast earlier, I would have gone through that effort moment earlier, because
Ah.
you don't think about, you don't really see examples around you, and
Right.
then you hear it and you're like, yeah, that resonates with me, and yeah, that's true. It's
Yeah.
not such a big deal, and we can work
Right.
it
I
out.
mean, even
Yeah.
doing this podcast, it's like we've said before, it helps us realize, fuck, we're not alone. Like so many of the
Mhm.
things that we've been feeling, we're getting so much like feeling seen, feeling almost validated
Mhm.
by the other mothers that we speak to. Just every time we come on, I'm like, oh fuck, I feel the same way. That's my exact fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is true. It's like even if somebody had created this kind of moment for us to hear, I think I would have probably had been more in power of my effort moment earlier. But it is community and stories and
Mhm.
motherhood that really pushes us all forward, so we're not alone. And this would come to my next question, which would be like, what advice would you give to somebody going through this right now, who is hearing this, who gets the opportunity to hear these fuck it moments and how to push through? What is your advice to someone?
I would say think about it though, and think about, is it just a phase, or do you see room for improvement? Because that was really my thinking. Like, okay, is there room for improvement? Can something happen? Can I act, and can I make things better? And if you don't see any room for improvement there, then think about what would you like to do instead. And okay, what would be those baby steps? Don't look at the big, target at the end, but more like, okay, how would you make that happen? And what is the worst that can happen? Are you able to, if it's leaving your job like I did, like, are you able to wait a few months until you get the money you need? Or, are you
Right.
just like, have a little bit of a plan, I would say. And also think, did I get everything I could get out of this, whatever moment you were through? For me, it was like, okay, I think I got everything I could get out of that role, and I don't think I can grow further. And then, think about, would they, if on their side they wanted you to leave, would they go through as many thoughts as you have, and like, and reconsider things the same way? And I've been on the other side with situations that are challenging with employees, and I can tell you that HR does not necessarily hesitate in that in the other way, on the other side. So, for me, it's like, think about the worst, think about, what happens if it doesn't work, if your plan doesn't work, and okay, is that the end of the world, or can you work through it? And
Right.
and from there, like, are there communities you can plug to? Are there things you can start exploring? Like, really kind of like think already about your next step from there and start visualizing it. Because I think it's, if you start to think big, it's scary. But if you think about, okay, how do I get there? And do I think I can get there? And do I think that I can deal with the worst you can bring? Because not every epic moment is always, rosy either. But do I think I can go through it?
No.
And is it
Yeah.
worth it? And if it's worth it, then
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, that is true. There are going to be effort moments that fail for
Uh-huh.
sure. But
Yeah.
the
Yes.
point is that you took the chance
Mhm.
and you were able
Yes.
to be like, you know what, I tried. I'm not going to live the rest of my life thinking, what
Mhm.
if?
Yeah.
I tried it. It didn't work, but still it changed me.
Yeah.
So I think that is very important. And one thing in regards to just like when you're making your plan, something that I encountered is someone posted something on Instagram that I thought was really interesting was before you leave your job, before you quit that job that you hate, if your job is providing you with like education or anything
Mhm.
like that, take advantage of it because
Mhm.
they're paying for it. They are
Yes.
paying
Yeah.
for it. So like do all you can do while you're there and then bounce. So you don't have to
Yeah.
pay for it yourself. I thought that was great advice. I would have done that.
No, I agree. I mean, you gotta take the best you can out of whatever situation you're in. So, if it's making sure that you have this connection, put them on LinkedIn before you leave your job,
Yeah, yeah.
if there are things that, even if it's your vacation, take your vacation if you're not going to be paid for this
Yeah.
vacation. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
once, if you're leaving your job, like, think about everything that you want to get, before you
Out of
leave.
it.
If they're offering you, some education, yeah, take the education. If that
Yeah.
helps you,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
if you
Totally.
if you have a big project and if it's helping you to stay 2 more months because you're getting up to the end of that project, I hate to say that, but maybe you want to go through those 2 months so that's on your resume and it's a nice thing, to mention
Right.
Yeah.
later. So,
Yeah.
and if you're
Right.
just gonna deal with it one more day, that's okay. You can, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's great.
But
That's great advice.
Yeah, that was really great advice. Thank you. That whole experience was something that I think so many people will resonate. That will resonate with them because
Definitely.
I feel like so many people on a day-to-day basis are experiencing what you're experiencing, and you're one of the few that took that opportunity to say fuck it. And look how much happier you are. Even though you're like, I don't know, how it's gonna be, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm happy. My husband's happy. My kid's happy. Like, this is great.
And you've lived through it to share about it with joy.
yeah,
So it
Yeah.
was
and I mean,
fucking worth
it's
it.
been 8 months, so it's
Yeah.
I'm still there. I'm still having clients. I'm still making it work. So it's
There you
Yeah.
go.
baby
There
steps,
you
but
go.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I hope it empowers other women or men to to take that leap of faith and effort moment if that makes them happier. Because at the end of the day, like, life is short. You never know what's gonna happen, and you just want to make
No.
sure that you're happy through every day you're going through.
Yeah.
Yes. And the older you get, the more that becomes so
Mm-hmm.
much more in your face. So, yes, that is absolutely true.
So this would be a great opportunity at the end of this, and we're so grateful for you sharing this and coming on with us. How can anyone follow you or find you so we can share that up on our, on our page and through our YouTube channel, so people can find you?
And explain what it is that you do so people know like what they
Yeah,
can reach out to you for.
right.
I basically help people who want to launch beauty products, fragrances, candles on the market. So I help them develop fragrances, develop formulas, packaging, and basically kind of help people maybe have never been in this industry get their products out there, and also helping more medium-sized company that might just be short on staff or need more experience, and help them kind of be set up for the next step. I can be reached on my website, emilyconsulting.com, Instagram page, which is more of a personal page, Emily Instagrams with a S at the end, Emily Emilie, and the
Okay.
French name. Happy to help anyone out there. I have some people who reach out. I just like, I have that dream to launch a product, and I'd love to kind of have a feel of what would that cost me, what is possible, and what are my options. And so I'm working a lot with like small companies, medium-sized companies, and help them basically get on the market and launch beauty candle products, or set them for the next step if they're just at some point needing more experience to help them.
Okay, that's good to know.
Awesome.
You
That's
know,
great to
Romy and
know.
I have talked
Very,
about like
yeah. I was
we love
like, we were
mascara and eyebrow stuff, so we're like, maybe we can come up with something.
yes,
Good to know.
really good to know. And that's why it's so good to be networking and find women that are doing these things and moms that are doing these things. So
Yeah,
we will have everyone reach out. We'll definitely post up, you know, what your business is. And I'm sure other moms want to support other moms when they're looking. So it's perfect.
yeah.
And we just want to thank you so much for coming
Yes.
on.
Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much. I think
Thank
your
you.
podcast is so empowering. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you. That means a lot to us. This is a
It
very,
does.
very special thing to us, and we hope that it really builds that inspirational, motivational community for moms. So thank you for saying that, and appreciate you being on here with us.
This is the end of the podcast when we just say,
just
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 F
F
F
it.
it.
it.